Hi everyone. So let's start off with a question. What are disabilities that children have? I'm sure most of you are heard of autism and Down syndrome. And even if you don't know anything else about it, you've heard of it. And it's like that because parents, associations, healthcare society, and public in general, we all fought really hard to raise awareness about it. But I'm sure most of you are aware that there are many more disabilities out there. There's physical disabilities, cognitive disabilities, disabilities that could develop due to hard and premature labor like brain injuries or vision impairment. There are also disabilities that will become visible later in childhood, like sensory impairments or language and speech delays, and some other developmental delays. And how do these disabilities come to be? Well, there are various factors, such as genetic predispositions, prenatal health, maternal exposure to toxins, birth complications, as I already mentioned, and environmental factors during early childhood. So the thing is that some of these disabilities are becoming more and more frequent. And I wouldn't want to debate about reasons behind this. Let's leave that to the rest of the scientific community to deal with. But what we are witnessing, and when I say we, I mean professionals who work with children, we have this community in which we share experiences and advices, and we all have this overwhelming feeling that there are more and more children with disabilities each and every day. And why am I delving into all of this? Well, I am an occupational therapist working with children. I am a mother and a wife. However, I am not a mother of a child with disability. So my point of view here is going to be through lenses of a professional who sees and deals with more than one side of the story. So over the last 10 years that I've been active in practice, I've realized that we really fought hard. We've raised awareness, we've made sure to mark the days to remember certain diagnoses, and we go above and beyond, as we should, for our children. But what I come to realize is that we often overlook the journey that parents go through. So parenthood is a monumental task, as it is. Am I right? And what if here today we talk about parents? So at some point, parents actually realize that something might be wrong. And before this, mothers have already gone through pregnancy, labor, sleep deprivation, emotional exhaustion, and who knows what else. And they had this sense that something might be off. And I've heard this sentence over and over again. I thought I was imagining stuff because everyone kept telling me I was insane. And every other mother I've ever talked to said this sentence. And now, after some time, parents are on the same page. They have their suspicions, so they are now scrolling and searching for information. They are now trying to read everything they can get their hands on about prognosis, diagnosis, and symptoms. And you can all relate to that, because when something is hurting, first impulse, first thing you will do is you take out your phone and you go online. You search for answers. So in this quest for answers that parents are now in, they are now going to appointments, doctor's appointments and other childcare specialist appointments, and one appointment turns to a whole bunch of other appointments, and we are coming to a moment in time where parents now receive confirmation. Something really is amiss. And this is a moment that is a seismic shift in their lives. This is a moment where they are becoming parents of a child with a disability. And it is hard. I've witnessed this moment. I had to learn how to cope with it myself, because I had to learn how much information is too much information. I had to learn how to tell them the truth and not scare them off at the same time. Because if I scare them off, this child might be losing treatments for some months. And the thing is that not all of us have same coping mechanisms. So not all of the parents have same coping mechanisms. But since I was talking to these parents and listening their thoughts and fears, there is this pattern that arose. Because there is a process, actually, that's going on, process of coming to terms with this difficult situation. And this is not something new. Psychology has already explained it. This is a process that goes through 5 stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and at the end, acceptance. So let's walk in their shoes for a while, and let's go through these 5 stages. So first one being denial. Denial sounds like, this is not happening. My child is fine. Look at him. He's just fine. So imagine if a parent gets stuck in this stage. You can imagine. It might be troublesome for the child. After this comes anger. And anger is a state where parents are actually in full rage towards the situation they found themselves in. They have these feelings of injustice, unfairness, and questions like this pop up. How did my child deserve this? What did I do to deserve this? And after this phase comes bargaining. And most of us believe in something greater than ourselves. Faith or God or something else. And in this stage, people are actually trying to bargain with this greater force. And they are willing to offer anything and everything, to sacrifice everything in order for their child to get better treatment or for their state to improve. So what we have to understand behind this is that in this state, parents are actually trying to get control over things they have no control of. And even if it sounds unreasonable, it's actually a very good phase. And like all of this wasn't hard enough, then comes depression. So in this stage, parents are actually at grief. There are profound feelings of sadness, despair, and hopelessness. And parents usually mourn the future that they had envisioned for themselves or their child or their family. And at this stage, there is something that happens that we call isolation. And I'll talk about that a minute later. Let's just go through 5th stage, being acceptance. Now, acceptance is a turning point. This is where denial and anger becomes acknowledgement and adaptation. Parents are now at peace with situation. They are still very aware of all challenges and uncertainties around them, but they are able to celebrate small steps forward. And they are aware of the fact that this disability is not the show of their worth or potential. So we've seen what happens on the inside. Now let's see what's going on at the outside at the same time. And let's talk about isolation. So parents avoid telling a lot of people what's going on because family on the inside knows and family becomes burden. They have to comfort the rest of their families when they are the ones in need of comfort. And then they start to search comfort in each other. If they are lucky enough to have one another still, mother and a father. So after this, they are usually avoiding situations where they can get asked questions about disability or someone might bring up disability, so they cancel coffee dates with their friends. They avoid family gatherings, they cancel play dates and so on. And in the meantime, life happens. They still have to go to their jobs, they still have to earn money, bring food to the table. They might even have to earn more money because child might need treatments. And they might have another child to tend to. So responsibilities grow day to day. And all of this excuses together. We call this isolation. Isolation becomes an inevitable consequence when dealing with disability, because parents prioritize their child's needs and they sideline their own well-being. And this is not something parents do on purpose. This just becomes a way of handling things when you have disability on your hands. Because it's easier if they don't feel judged or guilty or stared at in public or asked questions that they don't have answers to. So parents might feel safe for a while in this cocoon of theirs. But isolation actually isn't sustainable because we are all humans. We need support, we need connection and interaction. So after some time, parents start searching solace in a community of shared experiences. And you can picture this as a Facebook group, because in this group, they are understood and they are not judged. And sometime after, questions like this pop up. Is this everything that life is now? Who was I before all of this happened? And what if something happens to me? So this is actually a moment where change begins. This is a moment parents should embrace, because there is the realization that in order to keep their child safe, they have to take care of themselves first. And now it is perfectly fine to go to coffee and not bring kids. It's perfectly fine to take vacation off your daily life. So to bring everything together, the childhood disability discourse has often overlooked the journey and the pivotal role of parents. So while we advocate for awareness and understanding, we shouldn't forget the nurture and support these parents need. Because from the very beginning, from suspicion to acceptance, they navigate their own fears, challenges, quest for identity. And when these parents are supported and empowered, this has enormous positive effect, not only on themselves, but on their family life and their child as well. So there is something actually that we can do to be the change that we want to see in our community. There are just 2 questions each and every one of us ask. And those are, how are you really? And is there something I can do? In these 2 questions, there is the beginning of beautiful support, empowerment, and understanding that all of us can give. And in this way, help these parents live happy and fulfilling family lives. Thank you.